Donald Trump entered the hearing room that morning with a sense of confidence. He had seen these hearings before, had faced countless questions, and had, in his mind, always managed to walk away unscathed. This time, however, the atmosphere felt different. The room was charged with a palpable sense of anticipation, a feeling that was hard to shake off. Trump sat down, adjusted his suit, and braced himself for what he assumed would be another routine appearance. He had no idea that Representative Jasmine Crockett was about to turn this hearing into something that would captivate the nation. As soon as she stood to speak, her demeanor was nothing like the others. While many in Congress had become accustomed to the theatrics and grandstanding that often accompanied these types of hearings, Crockett's approach was sharp, deliberate, and unyielding. There was no room for games or deflection here. The stakes were too high. "Mr. Trump," she began, her voice calm but unwavering. "You are under oath today. Did you, or did you not, pressure state officials to find votes that didn't exist? Votes that weren't there?" The question hung in the air like a heavy weight. Trump, already preparing his defense, fired back without missing a beat. "That's fake news," he asserted. "Everyone knows I had the votes. They were stolen from me." His response was familiar, echoing the same lines he had used countless times in the past. It was a defense he knew well, one that had served him in rallies and media interviews. But this time, something felt off. The room didn't react the way it normally did. There was no applause, no cheers, no sympathetic nods from his allies. Instead, the room felt still, almost tense, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for what would come next. Crockett wasn't one to be easily dismissed, and she wasn't going to let Trump get away with his usual rhetoric. With a measured tone, she responded. "Sir, this isn't Twitter. This is Congress. And in here, facts matter. The American people deserve the truth, not baseless accusations." Trump bristled at her words. He wasn't accustomed to being called out so directly, especially in such a public forum. His mind raced for his next move, but Crockett wasn't finished. "You see," she continued, "this isn't a platform for spreading misinformation. This is a serious investigation, and we are here to uncover the truth. Whether you like it or not, Mr. Trump, this is about accountability." The room fell into a brief silence as Trump's gaze shifted between Crockett and the other members of the committee. His defiant posture remained unchanged, but it was clear that this line of questioning was different. For the first time in a long while, the former president seemed taken aback. Crockett had set the tone. This wasn't going to be a simple back and forth. This wasn't just another opportunity for Trump to shout down his critics and push his agenda. This was a real examination of his actions, and Crockett had made it clear that she was prepared to take him on, no matter how much he tried to deflect. Trump, sensing that his usual tactics wouldn't work here, tried to regain control of the narrative. He leaned forward, his tone sharp and insistent. "I didn't do anything wrong," he said, his voice rising slightly with frustration. "This is just a witch hunt, plain and simple." Crockett, unfazed, stood her ground. She had been through countless hearings and had faced down powerful figures before. The former president's bluster wasn't going to intimidate her. She was focused on the truth and the bigger picture. "The only spell being cast here," Crockett said slowly, with deliberate emphasis, "is the one where you magically forget your own voice on tape. A voice that clearly showed your attempts to manipulate the election results. A voice that recorded your conversations pressuring officials to find votes that were never there." Trump's face turned red. He wasn't used to being confronted with his own words in such a stark and public manner. But Crockett wasn't done yet. She knew this moment was about more than just exposing his actions, it was about holding him accountable for what many saw as an attack on democracy itself. "You seem to think," she said, her voice unwavering, "that just because you're a former president, you can escape the consequences of your actions. But today, Mr. Trump, the rules are different. Today, you are not the man sitting behind the desk in the Oval Office. Today, you're in the hot seat. And here, we don't let powerful men with influence off the hook." Trump, clearly rattled, snapped, "You're rude. You're angry. Just like all the radical left. This is what they do. They attack me, they attack anyone who dares to challenge them. It's all part of the same game. Crockett shook her head, her expression calm but resolute. No, she replied. I'm not angry. I'm focused. I'm focused on holding a man accountable who tried to overthrow democracy and still wants to lead it. You don't get to rewrite history, Mr. Trump. Not on my watch. Her words hung in the air, stark and unrelenting. The committee room, once filled with hushed murmurs, had now gone silent. It was a moment that felt like a turning point in the hearing. The tension in the room was palpable. Members of the committee, both Republican and Democrat, shifted in their seats, and the cameras, which had been mostly trained on Trump, now focused on Crockett. It was clear she had become the center of attention. Trump, for the first time in a long while, seemed to lose his composure. His trademark bravado was gone, replaced by a defensive, almost pleading tone. This is political persecution, he said, his voice cracking slightly. I'm being targeted for something I didn't do. Crockett wasn't swayed by his protestations. No, Mr. Trump, she said, her voice cutting through the air with authority. This is not political persecution. This is accountability. And for once, you're sitting in the chair, not behind the desk. The words stung. They carried weight, not just because of their content, but because of who was speaking them. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just another member of Congress, she was a force to be reckoned with. And in this moment, she had made it clear that she wasn't going to let Donald Trump or anyone else escape justice. The rest of the hearing continued with the same level of intensity. Trump, visibly shaken by Crockett's unflinching stance, continued to deny any wrongdoing, but his arguments seemed to lose their power. For the first time, he found himself on the defensive, struggling to maintain his narrative against a woman who wasn't afraid to call him out. The media outlets covering the hearing quickly seized on the exchange between Trump and Crockett. Newsrooms across the country aired clips of the confrontation on repeat, each time focusing on Crockett's calm yet powerful delivery. Her words became a rallying cry for many who had been disillusioned by the former president's rhetoric and actions. On social media, the moment went viral. Hashtags like #Crockett versus Trump and #accountability for Trump trended for days. People from all political backgrounds, Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike, tuned in to watch the full exchange. For many, it felt like a moment of reckoning. For years, Trump had avoided consequences, deflecting blame and using his influence to protect himself from scrutiny. But in that room, in front of the eyes of the nation, Jasmine Crockett had made it clear that no one was above the law, not even a former president. As the hearing concluded, the fallout was swift and widespread. Calls for further investigations into Trump's actions grew louder, with some advocating for criminal charges. Meanwhile, others on the political right decried Crockett's tactics as overly aggressive, accusing her of political theater. But despite the mixed reactions, one thing was certain: the dynamic had shifted. For once, it wasn't Trump dominating the conversation. It was Crockett who had taken control, not just of the hearing, but of the narrative. She had shifted the focus from Trump's deflections to the larger issue at hand: accountability for those who sought to undermine American democracy. The hearing may have been just another chapter in the long saga of investigations into Trump's actions, but it marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing battle for truth and justice. And for many, it was a reminder that even the most powerful figures must answer for their actions, no matter how high they rise. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more powerful political moments and breakdowns like this, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support helps us bring you more engaging content every week. See you in the next video.